Hey, Justin here with Stay at Home Dads Podcast. Welcome to the show. Welcome to this wonderful place where I talk about the many different and mundane things that go on here in my stay-at-home dad life. Things with my kids, my family, being a better father and a better husband, men's mental and physical wellness, parenting struggles I have, success stories as well. I also talk about parenting and life tips that I have that I come across reading online and talking to people and reading books. And lastly, just random things that I find on the internet and the news all over around me, situations I come on here and I share with you. So hopefully something in that realm is interesting, is enlightening, is enjoyable to listen to. But anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading the show today. Okay, first thing I want to mention today is I have no idea what I'm doing with all of this parenting stuff. I'm just playing my life, doing my best to raise my kids, and I come on here and I talk about it. I ask myself questions, probably, a ridiculous amount of times a day, and then I look for answers to those questions all around me, and I just try to figure this stuff out. And it just plays out right here. So I'm not a doctor or a therapist or an expert or anything. I'm just a dad, okay? I'm just a dad trying to do the best that he can. Anyways, with that being said, I have a few observations that I want to share with you that made me question a few things, right? See how I did that? Can you relate with this? Or has this happened to you? Or what are your thoughts here? Why does it make me cringe when I see other people parenting their kids and it's just going sideways for them? I mean, it's just spinning out and the kids are melting down or whatever situation you want, it just is a mess, right? I kind of feel bad for them in a way. I listen to how they talk to their kids and how these parents essentially walk on eggshells almost. Soft voice, right? Getting everything, making sure that the kids are not upset, that little Timmy is all taken care of all the time. It's just this gentle, passive parenting, I guess. And these little suckers are just walking around like they own everything, like the world is their oyster, And mom and dad are just their bitches, just to take care of everything and do everything for them. It's astonishing to see. I want to tell them too, like so much, just like give them a little tip or give them a little help in some way, some sort of advice or suggestion to try to help them regain the control, to assert their dominance, you know what I mean? And have their kids shape up. But the reality of that is, I can't do that. Nobody can do that, right? That's off limits. It's like one of the few places where you just can't go around giving unsolicited advice. Well, I guess you really can't give unsolicited advice about anything, but especially parenting, right? That's like a big no-no, I guess. Because honestly, what do I know about their family dynamic, about what their kids are doing or how their kids are behaving? Remember, I'm a nobody. I'm no expert. I'm just a dad. So how could they even listen to advice from me? I imagine I wouldn't be too receptive to some outsider trying to say, hey, you should try this tactic. Let's get real. Who's going to listen to that, right? I can't blame them. It's just, like I said, it's just one of those areas you can't really say anything. It's not my place. People have to really figure it out on their own. And I've heard some parents say, oh, look at the passion and the fire my little Clayla has, or some other random stupid name these people are naming their children these days. And, oh, she's going to need that, that fight when she's older. In reality, your little angel is an asshole. No respect, no manners. She's a jerk, and she's treating you like dirt. And sorry, I'm not sorry. I was at the pool the other day with my girls. They were swimming and having a good time, and I was sitting down like an old man doing a crossword puzzle. And this other family came and sat a few chairs away from me, and they brought all this food from the restaurant that's by the pool. Must have been having lunch or something, but the reason I looked over there, I was like, dang, that smells really good. I don't know what it was. Like chicken fingers and burgers and fries, all that stuff, It smelled amazing. So I looked over at them and I was kind of scoping out their food and seeing what they bought. And of course, one of the kids was pouting and upset and moping around and all that stuff. I'm assuming about the food choices. And the parents were there repeatedly asking what he wanted instead. Well, what do you want? What do you want? In an attempt, of course, to make everything perfect for their little angel, right? Well, this kid was saying something. I really couldn't understand what he was saying because, he's mumbling and pouting and upset and all that stuff. Well, then all of a sudden I hear the mom pipe up and she's like, "You're not conveying yourself well for me to understand you." And the dad was getting all bent out of shape and he was mad and getting testy. Well, this went back and forth for a few minutes. Frustrated parents, pouty little Brixon or Bryson or whatever his name was. I don't even know. I made that up. Well, they ended up gathering up all their stuff, all their swim gear and everything else, and they went back to the restaurant. They were gone. I'm assuming to get their little 5-year-old child what they really wanted, which was probably whipped cream in a cup or something stupid like that. And I don't know. The whole situation kind of annoyed me. First off, the first thing I thought of is what 4 or 5-year-old kid knows what convey means? I'm sorry, but I don't think a lot of children know what that means. Maybe some do, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, really? That's how you're, wording that to your kid? Second is you bought all this great food. You made choices. I imagine you talked with your kids and your family getting all this going, right? But you're still going to let your kids run the show and make you buy them something else. They're going to dictate what you buy again. And I'm just like, really? I don't understand what the goal is, because you're going to go buy who knows what else, pretzel sticks or something. The kid's going to take 3 bites of it and not eat it anyways, right? I mean, that's how that scenario typically goes when you go out to dinner or buy food like that. So I just don't really understand. And along with this story, another one, a couple of weeks ago, I saw this girl's mom buy her a slushie, a big Slurpee, right? The kid picked out the flavor and everything. The child took 2 sips and said, "I don't like it." They don't like the flavor that they chose, which for slushies, it's pretty basic, right? You got cherry or strawberry or fruit punch or some shit, right? So not that big a deal. So what happened? The mom took the whole damn slushie and she threw it away. I was like, what the hell? Man, I would have drank that slushie. Don't waste $5, So this all just kind of falls into what I think of as this gentle parenting, this kind of style of parenting that's kind of happening everywhere. The coddling, the big feelings, the letting kids kind of run the show, they dictate everything, they have what they want, they do what they want. This notion to always keep them happy and pleased at all times. At least this is my perception of it. Maybe that's not exactly what it is, or, well, that's what we're going to find out today. Anyways, but that's how it is painted in my mind. And I know I'm not some, hard-ass drill sergeant myself as a parent. I'm pretty laid back. I've got a lot of patience. But I'm not going to let my kids waste money, waste time, waste food, and dictate everything that happens. That's for sure. It's just disrespectful, right? I mean, that's no other way to say it. And it's just crazy to watch and see what parents consistently put up with or facilitate or perpetuate. Are one of those words correct in there? Not the smartest crayon in the box, but you know what I mean. I came across a Bill Maher clip, and he posed this question, and he said there was a reckoning with the Me Too movement, there was a reckoning with racial stuff in the past few years, and then he asked if there was going to be a reckoning with gentle parenting and a lot of rolling back of this style of parenting that we see today. Is there going to be this moment or movement where we all go, oh yeah, holy shit, parenting our kids in this manner is not benefiting anybody at all? Is that going to happen at some point? Now, I don't typically listen to Bill Maher, but I did think it was a pretty interesting take. I mean, honestly, just wait until these kids are adults. 15 years, 20 years, 10 years. How's it going to go? Is it going to be a shit show? Or is it going to just not really matter? And yes, I do know sexual stuff and racial stuff, that's an entirely different category, different level than how someone raises their kids. But how someone raises their kids is still important. It seems as of late, we're raising these kids with white gloves on, catering to every move, making their lives as easy as we can, preparing the road for the child instead of the child for the road. I know we've all probably heard that quote, that saying. And what's going to happen to our young people? What's currently happening to our young people? Everyone's triggered. It's my favorite word, right? Triggered. A lot of kids are in therapy. They're these entitled little turds that melt down and they blame parents and they blame teachers and they blame bosses or whoever when things don't go their way. So is there going to be a point where us as parents go, oh yeah, we have to change this. This isn't the outcome we wanted. We need to do things differently, right? So if you couldn't tell, that's what I'm getting into today. What is this gentle parenting trend, phenomenon, whatever you'd like to call it? What's it all about? What does it encompass? Are we doing it? What negative effects does it have on our kids? And what are some alternatives? And before I get into all that, I know this style can be beneficial at times. I'm not saying, like I mentioned, be a rigid asshole all the time, be a drill sergeant, be hard on your kids 24/7. I think it's going to be a blend where we have expectations, there's consequences, we teach them how to behave and act, we teach them how to appreciate, show them how to be compassionate, show them how to take into account their feelings, show them how to take into account other people's feelings. And also, yes, there's consequences to your actions. Unless I already said that. I don't know. Anyways, what do the parenting experts, what does any expert say or define gentle parenting? So I'm going to read a little excerpt here from the New Yorker on what this is, so bear with me here. This all comes from an article called The Harsh Realm of Gentle Parenting. It's actually a pretty good read if you want to check it out. I'll link it in the description. Author Jessica Winters states that gentle parenting is really just a catch-all for variations that include respectful parenting, mindful parenting, and intentional parenting. In broad outlines, it centers on acknowledging a child's feelings and their motivations behind challenging behavior, as opposed to correcting the behavior itself. She says the gentle parent holds firm boundaries and gives the child choice instead of orders, avoiding rewards, punishments, and threats. She states no sticker charts, no timeouts, no threat of taking something away if the kid doesn't do A, B, or C. Now, here's a little part in my reading so far that kind of annoys me. At least, so far, anyways. She continues saying, instead of issuing a command of, say, put your shoes on, the parent strives to understand why the child is acting out in the first place. Asking, what's going on, little child? You don't want to put your shoes on? Really? Or, she said the parent narrates the problem back to the kid. Oh, you're playing with your toys and putting your shoes on doesn't seem like a good idea or doesn't feel good? Oh. Pardon my language, but what the fuck? Who would have the time to do that? Or why? Like to sit down on the floor. Oh, Timmy, you don't want to get into the bath and get your PJs on? Why not? Tell me how that makes you feel, Timmy. Tell me how that makes you feel. Is it not fun to get ready for bed? How does getting ready for bed make you sad, Timmy? Bleh. Vomit. Jesus. Give me a break, I got pissed at my kids one night. My wife was out of town, and I usually do really well with my girls, but this evening we were just off. We were not mind melding. They didn't want to listen. I tried the calm, gentle approach, the nice voice, not yelling or freaking out. Maybe not too much anyways, but I probably did some. But at a certain point, I just waved the white flag. I was like, fine. I thought to myself, it's summer break. It's like not a big deal. But I was like, fine, you choose what you want to do. You know what I want you to do, but you choose. Brush your teeth and hair? I don't care. Showers? Doesn't matter to me. Reading books and going to bed whenever you want? Yeah, sure, you be the judge. Forget it. And you know what happened when they had no boundaries? And my kids are pretty good. They jerked around till almost 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Oh, I was mad. They knew I was mad. I mean, they usually go to bed at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, but I was just done asking and telling over and over again to do their routine that they know. They're smart kids. They know the routine. It is not new at all. And in my opinion, that's why kids need an authority figure, a boss, a parent to say, hey, now, this is what we've got to do, and this is what we're going to do. I'm not going to sit down on the floor and say, why don't you want to brush your teeth? Oh, you just don't feel like going to bed? You're just not tired, huh? Like, seriously, come on. We just have to do it and get it done, and I don't really care about your feelings at this point. It's 10 o'clock at night. Anyways, the theory goes that the gentle parented child learns to recognize and control his or her emotions because the parent is consistently affirming those emotions as real and important. It's a mouthful. And the parent models this behavior as well of keeping cool, and the kid becomes a person who is self-regulating, kind, and conscientious because they want to be, not because they will be rewarded with ice cream, cookies, and brownies. Okay? It goes on to say this is a deviation from an authoritative parent, which I know I've talked about on here before. Authoritative uses positive and negative reinforcement, timeouts, groundings, stuff like that. And I get it. I'm not totally shitting on gentle parenting as a whole. I'm beginning to think I use some of this style. I mean, I deal with their feelings and I sit down and I let them talk about, what's going on and how they feel about this and that, blah, blah, blah. And my girls are pretty awesome. They're pretty damn well-behaved good kids. And I agree, parents need to keep their cool. They don't need to freak out and yell. I know I have. A lot. But you know what? Sometimes it's just what it takes to right the ship, I have also seen where certain reinforcements and incentives are used in ridiculous ways. Parents saying, oh, if you stop crying and throwing a fit, I'll give you this cookie. Or eat one more bite of your food, and you can have that ice cream. Or here's some more Skittles. Now eat these Skittles. And after that, then you get your hamburger. Like, I've seen this. I've seen it. And I know we all do this to a degree, but in my opinion, it's like, stop. Stop doing that. What are you teaching your kid when you do that? That, hey, if I cry and throw a tantrum and not eat my dinner for long enough, I will be rewarded. That's like the message. That's the underlying message that's being sent. Don't you think that's going to progressively get worse over time? It's like trying to chase this happiness high, or you're trying to keep your kid chasing this high, or you're trying to one-up yourself. Like, oh, you're sad? Let me make you happy. Let me distract you from one thing to another. Here's something shiny, right? And this is, like I said, this is something we all do to some degree. I know we do. We're parents. It's pretty commonplace. The article says that children's brains aren't yet wired for compliance and self-control, so it's only fair for us adults with our fully developed brains, big brains here, to show them patience and empathy. And actually, a lot of parents say that it makes them more mindful, it makes them less reactive parents, it changes how they speak to their kids, and how they navigate tough moments. So there you go. So my next question is, what are the benefits? And I think it would be really stupid of me to say there are no benefits. I've already covered some of the benefits in what I just read, but I'm going to go through a few more here. Gentle parenting helps kids learn how to empathize. With GP, let's call it gentle parenting, according to the Cleveland Clinic, you center how their actions directly impact how you feel. This teaches them the same lessons about consequences that traditional parenting does, but with a focus on feeling instead. The article says that this helps kids down the line understand and ask themselves, is this behavior going to give me a good outcome or not? Kids don't always understand what they're doing is wrong. They might stop doing certain things because we yelled at them and we scared them, not because they know that it's wrong. And that's what gentle parenting is teaching them. So GP-style parenting is supposed to teach them in a calm, firm manner, what is right and wrong. And kids learn by watching us. I've said it on here 100 times. And if we're not yelling and freaking out when our stress goes up and when we get agitated, if we're staying cool, then kids will respond in the same way. That's the theory. Another benefit they said is GP can be a motivational tool. The article goes on to say that if you only focus on correcting bad behavior, you're missing out on the ability to instill motivational behavior. They give this really good analogy in here. They said, think of it like coaching. Say your kid's having a hard time on the basketball court. They're having a hard time shooting the basketball or dribbling or running fast or any of that stuff. Now, would you yell at them and tell them they're doing it wrong? That they need to change what they're doing, but not really give them any idea on how to do it? Would you just do that and say, hey, you're doing it wrong? No, of course not. You're not going to do that. We would teach them. We would practice. We would work those skills to get better, right? The same thing goes for parenting. You would help them and talk them through tough emotions and tough behaviors. And that analogy, I don't know, paints a pretty clear picture to me. Makes you kind of light bulb it and go, oh, yeah, that's true. I'm not just going to scream at you and say, do it faster. And be like, I don't even know what I'm doing, right? It just sounds kind of silly now when you think of it in that aspect. Now, what are some concerns? The Cleveland Clinic article says it's time consuming. Your child needs to be self-aware and be able to process their emotions and behavior. That might take time. You have to dedicate a lot of time to this. It means really getting to know your child. I wonder if a lot of people don't really know their kids. You think about it, that's kind of scary. Like, you see them in the morning, and then you see them in the evening for a couple of hours. You don't see them interact with kids, especially if you're working. I mean, I'm lucky enough to be at home, but you don't see them interacting with friends and at sports and other things if you're a busy working parent. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of people that don't really know their kids, especially when they get into school age. Like what they like, who they like to hang out with, what they like to do, their social skills, their behaviors, stuff like that. I don't know. Interesting random thought I just had there. Continuing, anyway, they say that parents have to be heavily involved in helping your kids question, analyze, and process their behavior rather than just taking over for them. And then you just automatically telling them what to do. It goes on to say that parents have to unlearn a lot of behavior as well and to set healthy boundaries. And also recognize what triggers your child into doing bad behavior. There's that word again, favorite one. The doctor in this article, I have her name somewhere, Dr. something, I'll get to it eventually, says, do kids have trouble getting ready in the morning just because they aren't a morning person? And when I read that, I was like, this is the part I kind of have an issue with here. Yeah, you're not a morning person. You don't want to get up at 6:30 a.m. You'd rather sleep in another hour or two. Well, tough shit. I'm sorry. You have to be a morning person, especially on school. You have responsibilities. At least for my kids, they are older, 7 and 10. Not too old, though. They're still young. They have some responsibilities in the morning. I mean, I don't have to be a dick about it. We can calmly explain to them the way our schedule is. But at a certain point, you don't need to really kid glove that, do you? Hey, it's time to get up. It's got to go. We got to go. Reminds me of these young adults crying about going to work early or going to work late. And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but get used to it. It's just the way it is. The doctor continues. I think her name is Dr. Estrella. She says it's also a misconception that parents will be viewed more as a friend to their child than a parent, that this type of parenting lets your kid do whatever they want. She says it's more about working together with your child to help improve behavior. Probably on both sides, I'm assuming. improve behavior. Okay, so I'll be honest, I was really hating on gentle parenting prior. Like, I thought it was pretty shitty. Or just, run amok. I shouldn't say shitty. Run amok style. But now that I've been reading this, I kind of think I've been using some of the tactics from their playbook. Not all, but some. Am I totally on board with everything that gentle parenting encompasses? No, not at all. I'm not. And as anticlimactic as it may be, as I wrap this episode up, my conclusion is that it really should be a blend of different styles. I think it's good to explain things to kids, to help them understand how they're feeling, and to make sure that they understand the why behind things. Like, why are we doing this? Why are you teaching me this? Why does this matter? I think that is very important. But I also think positive and negative reinforcement is needed as well. Notice when they do good things and tell them. Say, hey, nice job. Rewards don't always have to be things or food or toys or money. Affirmations and words, I think, do great as well. A lot of the articles I read use the same kind of scenario too. The leaving the house and the putting the shoes on. I mean, I mentioned it earlier in this episode. And I think it's important to recognize too that, hey, if this is an issue to leave the house with my kids, and last time I freaked out because I was going to be late, or I said that my kids are going to make me late or whatever, and I'm not going to sit down on the floor for 20 minutes explaining to little Billy the importance of his actions and his feelings and how he feels when he's got to put shoes on his feet or put his underwear on or whatever, or change his diaper or something like that, and you're explaining this, all like too much feeling, right? I think there can be too much of that. I think we need to recognize this and then maybe, I don't know, start the leaving process 10 minutes sooner. So then you're not having to get down on the floor and your kid has plenty of time to dick around and put their shoes on. Kind of like seeing the writing on the wall or learning from your mistakes and being prepared, planning accordingly. If you don't want to freak out, then that's your option. And you don't want to sit on the floor, then that's your option. Also, I want to mention that I think myself and maybe the general public, maybe you too, intermingle and maybe confuse gentle parenting with passive or permissive parenting. Because what I have witnessed a lot of times, I think falls more into that passive parenting category, where parents just essentially let their kids do whatever they want, no boundaries, letting kids be the center of attention, adult conversations, adult situations, and the kid is the center of that attention and taking away from what's happening in the room. I've seen that. Letting kids choose things that they shouldn't be choosing. Letting kids eating whatever in the hell they want. Because the parents don't want to have the battle. Not brushing your kid's hair because they scream, so you let it go. And they're out there going to school with this rat nest bedhead going on. It's like, wow, okay. I like to call it the path of least resistance parenting. And I've seen it over and over and over. And if I described you, if you can relate to any of that I just said, then please make a change. Your kids are not the boss. They don't run the show. You do. Put your foot down. And if you find yourself lost and overrun, kids running amok and misbehaving and everything falling apart around you, then you have to have the realization that you're doing something that is not working. Sure, over time things will change. I've said it before, everything is temporary. But if your kids are acting like assholes, I'm not sure any amount of time is going to change that. That's something you'll have to change and adjust in your parenting tactics, in your parenting style. That's when you as a parent need to make a change, because whatever you're doing in the moment or right now is not working. And the quicker that you realize that, the better it's going to get. If you passive parent, try to be your kid's best friend all the time, give them everything they want all the time, give them the iPad all the time, and now they're this little selfish brat, don't listen, they don't play well, and they're disrespectful, And it's time to make that change. That's all I'm saying. You're not going to get a different result by continuing to do what you've always done. Yes, it'll be hard for a few days to really put your foot down and set up some boundaries and set up some consequences to their actions. But give it some time and you'll see a change. I know you will. There are times when I've had to do it. I've needed to adapt and change my approach as well. We all have to do it at some point. Anyways, that's all I have for this episode of Stay at Home Dad's podcast. I know I didn't have a lot of tips, but I hope I shed some light on what this gentle parenting is, its benefits as well as its concerns, and hopefully I just talked about a few things that resonate with you, that help you, that help us be better parents. Anyways, the articles I referenced are linked in the description if you want to check them out. They're pretty good. If you have any questions or comments for me, or you want to tell me something or scream at me that I'm wrong, I would love to hear from you. I really would. You can get a hold of me on podbean.com or on Instagram at stayathomedads_podcast, and please let me know. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading, and I will talk to you all next time.